Golf Central on YouTube, brought to you by TaylorMade.
This field is loaded.
It is, one of the best non-major, non-WGC fields we've seen, and the world rankings will reflect that. I mean, any one of the top 5 in the world has a scenario to get to number 1 because the top 8 in the world are here. And you know what? Jack's Place is never a blade out of grass, but one place they're trying to get some blades out of grass is that rough. They haven't cut it since last Wednesday. They were kind to the players at workday. They're not going to be so kind to them here. The green speeds are going to be bumped up about 3 more feet on the step meter. So it's going to be a typical Memorial. It will be a great field with a great finish.
You're right. John Rahm played in that little charity event this afternoon. He was caught on mic and openly said that the winner this week, five different in terms of relation to par. He said there'll be no 19 unders this week, more in the 12-13 range. Right. Todd Lewis is pulling the double at Dublin for us. He was there last week. He joins us now from Muirfield Village. And Todd, the presence of Tiger at any tour event, it just goes right into the mainstream of sports chatter. His final day of preparation in pursuit of his 6th Memorial title, how did it go?
It was out on the golf course today. Gary showed up just after 8 o'clock on the first tee. He played the front 9 today. He played the back 9, of course, on Tuesday. And Tiger, again, as he did yesterday, seemed to be happy and healthy, swinging with freedom, totally engaged in his practice round today. So that doesn't seem to be an issue, at least his body. What he was concentrating on today, as he did yesterday, the speed of these greens. Tiger understands that as we progress throughout this tournament, that comes Sunday, the speed of these greens will be different than they were on Thursday. He's anticipating them being around 14 on the stamp, and he's anticipating this golf course to change as well. Consider this. After the Memorial Tournament, I'm talking immediately the day after, there will be work on Muirfield Village to totally renovate many of the holes here on this golf course. So that means Jack Nicklaus and the PGA Tour can push this course to the limit here this week. Now, playing alongside Tiger Woods, Bryson DeChambeau. Now, you may be thinking that Tiger wanted to check out the new bulky Bryson, but it was just the other way around. Instead, Bryson wanted to check out the action of Tiger Woods, and that's why he pushed to have that practice round today. Gary?
All right, Todd, thank you very much. Back to you in just a minute. Tripp, when you come back from the long layoff, and this is going to be 151 days for Tiger between that final round at Genesis to the opening round tomorrow, what do you think will be the easiest thing for him to find form with, and what's the biggest challenge?
Well, I do think he will find form with his irons. I do. I mean, the way the swing is looking, and believe it or not, we've seen him struggle with the driver at times with coming after layoffs, but I don't think that's going to be a struggle either. I think it will be on the greens. I mean, he has his own practice area down in Florida, and he can get those greens very fast, but there still is nothing like the slopes of those greens at Muirfield. Now, nobody knows them better than Tiger Woods, and as you mentioned, 122 under par. But you look at the areas where he dominates on this golf course. I mean, he has 9 leads or co-leads, which nobody's better. He has 14 eagles, nobody better. And when you look at the fact that Tiger Woods and Muirfield, it just is going to fit. I will just see how long he struggles with his putting, because to me, that has been the one thing that we've seen. I mean, at Genesis, he didn't hit the ball that great after the first round, but he really didn't putt well from that point on. So, I mean, that's the one area where Tiger Woods has not been the Tiger Woods of old. We've seen some poor putting performances from Tiger, and I think that will be the key for him.
If you said to him, what is the data point at the end of the week that you're going to look back on that you want to be solid, competent, what do you think it would be?
I would like to see 4 rounds of gaining strokes on the greens. Okay. I would like to not see 1 round that's a negative gain strokes, and I would like to see positive. We know we're going to see positive from the strokes gained approach, but I would like to see throw in off the tee as well, and I expect that to happen. But I still look at that putting as the barometer of Tiger Woods, and when he putts, he can putt like he used to, but he used to do it on a regular basis. But when he does, we see him win at Zozo. I mean, that was a fantastic putting performance.
It certainly was. Todd Lewis rejoins us now. And you mentioned Bryson, Todd, playing this morning with Tiger. And in the absence of Tiger for the first 5 events, DeChambeau has received the most attention, deservedly so, with his play, not to mention the win a little bit over a week ago at Rocket Mortgage. How is he adapting to being the main topic of conversation every week?
Well, he understands that he is an agent of change, and look what he has done. He has figured out a way to hit the ball straight at 195 mile per hour ball speed. That is incredible if you're a stat geek, and it's scary if you're a fellow competitor out here this week in Dublin, Ohio. Now, part of that is technique, and the other part of it is the fact that he has transformed his body into 250 pounds, and a lot of that is muscle. Now, the interesting thing about that is that, as you mentioned, Gary, since he has transformed his body, he has yet to finish outside the top 10, and he has picked up a win in Detroit. That may be surprising to many, including Bryson.
I thought maybe, if I work out this hard and I keep going, it's going to take maybe a year or two to get up to the speeds that I'm at. But surprisingly, I've found some methods in the golf swing that have allowed me to hit it a little bit straighter than I thought I was going to be able to do. And consequently, I've just felt like the harder I swing, sometimes the straighter it goes. And that's been a tremendous benefit of being able to play it out here. Whenever I get a little uncomfortable, I just swing it harder. Luckily, the way my golf swing is, the forces lined up a lot better for me. But no, I didn't think it was going to come this quick. From my perspective, anything negative that comes my way now, I try and look at it in a positive light. I try and view it as a compliment, in a sense. When Tiger was doing his stuff and dominating, I'm sure there were times where people were criticizing him on certain things, and I just have to look at it from the light that it's a compliment that I'm being talked about, and I'm not going to think anything more than that. I'm going to sit back and play my game, try and win as many golf tournaments as I can, give myself chances to win golf tournaments, and not focus on the negativity that people are trying to bring to me. I'm just going to do my absolute best to play my game and enjoy the benefits of what comes about from playing your best.
It's interesting how Bryson attacks a golf course now with this new power. There won't be as much unleashing of the Kraken, as he calls it, here at Muirfield Village. He will hit driver, though, on a few holes, like the par 5 7th, the par 5 11th, the par 4 13th, and depending on weather conditions, maybe the par 4 17th and the par 4 18th. And he was asked today, Gary, about how he would attack the iconic par 5 13th at Augusta National for the Masters. He says he will tee it up and hit it over the trees on the right side of the fairway and into the 14th fairway, so he will have a better angle with his second shot to the par 5. And if that happens, can you imagine the stir amongst the members there at Augusta National?
Todd, I don't know that we're prepared to even just discuss that or even think about it. Wow. All right, if you look at his driving performance splits from his time from the beginning of his career on the PGA Tour to what he has done thus far this season, again, it's a quantum leap. And it's not only the way he looks, it's also the statistics and the data week in and week out that he is putting together that is really, really mind-blowing. Because of the depth of this field, the world ranking points, this is the greatest stew of points put together in a long, long time. Rahm continuing to have that chance. Now you can add Thomas, DJ, and Webb Simpson, who has never been ranked in the top 3. He's currently number 5. Well, back to number 1. He spoke earlier today.
I think since I started back, obviously the rankings have been frozen, and it's, look, it's a different year. It's this might sound a little bad, but looking back on the first 3 events that I played, 2 of the courses I hadn't played before, hadn't played in a very long time. I sort of treated them as just dipping my toes back in the water again and seeing how things were and how things felt in terms of no crowds and how different it was. So I think those 3 weeks definitely give me a better understanding of how it's going to be going forward. And yeah, so it's the ranking I'm not even thinking about. I'm just trying to play well. I played a little better at the Travelers. I had a chance on Sunday to finish higher than I did. I had a bit of a bad finish, but I feel like my game's definitely better. Obviously, if I play well, then the ranking takes care of itself. And all I'm thinking about doing this week is playing well and putting up some good numbers. It was nice to take a couple of weeks off after the Travelers. I had planned to play the workday, but I needed to do a little bit of work on my game. So I got my coach, Michael Bannon, over last week. It was the first time I'd seen him since the start of February. So it was nice to spend some time with him and get some good work done and feel a bit better about my game and my swing going into this week, and then obviously, looking ahead to the next couple of months.
In his career, when he has gotten a lead, he has shown he is comfortable with clean air. He has not done that at Muirfield Village. The one time he's gotten off to a really good start was back in 2014 and still finished outside the top 15. He's had to come back facing a lot of deficit in the times that he's gotten himself a couple times in the top 10, 2016 and 2018. He missed the cut last year. So, Tripp, you just heard him talk about how he spent the last couple of weeks. This place appears to be a Rory ballpark. Mm-hmm. What does he need to do? What does he have to get sharper at to get himself right there again?
Just consistency. Each day we've seen a lot of good out of Rory. I mean, we've seen good rounds, like 2 good rounds, maybe even 3, but then that poor round, like he mentioned at Travelers. And the good news is he's doing Rory-type things. He led Travelers in par 5 scoring. That was a par 70. He's got 4 opportunities here to score. That's usually where he makes a lot of hay, and I expect them to do that on Muirfield's par 5s because he can get to every one of them in 2 shots with a good drive. So you showed what he has done there recently, but he had 2 other top 10s. I mean, so he's got 4 top 10s and a 15th and 8 appearances. Not shabby, but not kind of what you would expect. I would expect some more seconds or having some stretches or even a win by now. Having time to spend with your coach after a long time off and knowing what was wrong for those 3 times that he played, that's huge. And I guarantee you Rory had fixed that and is going to be a lot more consistent, at least on the ball striking. Again, that putter and his attitude with Brad Faxon, what they've worked on.
Yeah.
He is so level-headed now with the putting. He doesn't get highs and lows like he used to, and we've seen a lot more leveling out of his putting. I mean, that was his worst stat last year in strokes gained. He was 24th.
Right.
If Rory McIlroy's anywhere near the 20s in strokes gained putting, it's not a fair fight.
Yeah, and he's not needy. He's not a needy type with Michael Bannon. He doesn't, have his eyes on him all the time. We just showed that scenario of the 5 players who could be number 1 at the end of the week. Do you think we're entering into maybe a hot potato period here?
Well, we do because I mean we've got the WGC coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We've got the PGA. We've got the playoffs. I mean this could be and if it could bunch up a little bit. I expect Rory McIlroy to stay there. I really do. I think he's going to be tough to knock off. The King of the Mountain is always tough to knock off, but Rory isn't going to help anybody. Let's just put it that way. And that's kind of what Brooks Koepka did when he got there. He kind of helped some people by not playing well. I don't think that's going to happen to Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, and you have 2 guys in that scenario that have never been to number 1 in Rahm and Webb. Well, Tiger Woods and more, like everybody, going to tee it up at Jack's Place, Muirfield Village. Who will win and continue the tradition? The Memorial Tournament tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern on PGA Tour Live and 2:30 Eastern right here on Golf.